America's workforce. Its strength is our nation's success. Join Ronnie Spellman on I Build America podcast as we explore innovative solutions and inspiring stories from leaders and workers shaping America. Discover actionable insights to build a motivated workforce.
Welcome to the I Build America podcast. We're here with John Bones. John, welcome to the program.
Oh, great to be here.
As you know, the I Build America podcast is focused on looking at the workforce community around the country. So we're here in Michigan, which is where you grew up, and we want to just explore what they're doing in Michigan to build a trained workforce and to build people that are willing to work in the blue-collar jobs, those industries, manufacturing and industrial kinds of industries that make up the heart of Michigan. And Michigan has such a unique history from a manufacturing perspective, but it sounds like you grew up in the automotive industry. So I'd love to start there, talking about the automotive industry before we move into TeamUp Academy, because I think that set the foundation for why you're doing what you're doing.
That is correct. It certainly did. Absolutely.
So how'd you start? You grew up in the automotive, which everyone knows of Michigan and Detroit and the Flint and everything that's happening here in this part of the country relative to the automotive industry.
Well, my parents had a business that was in flat roll steel and specialized in really tight tolerances. So we had milling machines and slitters and cut the length lines. And so I started sweeping the floor.
How did they get started in that industry?
Well, my dad was a manufacturer's rep for many years.
Okay.
And he was supplying pre-coated products to primarily Delco, which is General Motors,
right,
for instrument clusters and all kinds of things like that. And so it just evolved where he couldn't get a lot of work done that he needed to get done the right way.
Right.
So he decided to do it himself.
So how did your father get started? When did he start? How did he get started in the business?
Well, but he was in flat roll pre-painted products for, I'd say about 10 years or so.
Okay.
Working for an operation called Amstead Industries out of Chicago, who was a huge supplier of interior materials.
Interesting.
Primarily
out of Chicago?
Out of Chicago.
Okay.
They produced pre-painted steel stock.
Okay.
And so my dad was very involved with selling to all the big three at the time. And
now, how did he pull that off, though? Because if it almost seems, especially back in that area, it was a younger area of the automotive industry, but going off on your own, getting the support that you need if you're already running the business seems like it was a daunting task. So that seems quite impressive.
Well, it's kind of interesting. Back in the early days, and I call them early because it was early for me, in the 60s and 70s, selling material to automotive was all about personality.
Right. Okay.
It was all about the exchange between the buyer and the person selling and the trust levels.
I agree with you there.
And it was a lot easier back then because the buyers made their own choices.
Yes.
And they did it not only on price, but they did it on the feel that they had for that salesman and the company they were dealing with.
And kind of that trust. I used to work in supply chain management and home building. And you're right, having someone that you can look in the eye and say, I believe this person, that they'll deliver. Not just believe them, generally speaking, but they're going to show up, they're going to finish our product, they're not going to take the money that I pay them and leave and not give me the product that I need to get the job done. So you're right. So much of that is just built on trust. So your father had that.
So my dad had that for years.
Nice.
As a salesman. And so he decided to go out on his own.
Very nice.
And started real small in a little shop down on West Jefferson, which is right on the river in Detroit, Delray area, they call it, with one little slitter and a few of us working there. Me in the summers at that time, but learning the business, learning how to run the equipment and that type of thing, and just building the business up from there.
What was that era like? So again, we're here in Michigan with the I Build America podcast. We've been traveling around the country, meeting with people and learning their state, their locality, what they're doing from a workforce development perspective, from an industry perspective. But what was that era like? I can only imagine, because they were building great product back then, and all of the automakers were just kind of seemed to be humming. They were in their stride. back in those earlier days. So what was it like growing up here in the Detroit area and being part of that automotive industry?
Much less complicated.
Okay.
That's what I call it.
Right.
It was simple to do business. It was enjoyable to do business. And, price and quality was always a given.
Sure.
When it came to automotive. And so it was all about, and everyone had that. So, as again, I say, it was all about personality and making sure that customer, being the big three at the time, there wasn't anyone else, basically. It was a big three. We're taken care of properly.
Yes.
You took care of the buyer, and of course, everyone that was running your materials on the floor at the plants.
Right.
You had a great relationship. It was enjoyable. There wasn't a lot of problems. You worked through the problems reasonably.
Right.
And you kept moving on.
Right.
And they were making money and building great cars back then.
I love it.
And
you started sweeping the floors. But I suspect there's so much learning that happens just from being on the floor, whether you're sweeping or not. But just being in that environment taught you the business and the industry.
Yeah, I really sucked it in,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed it. And the big part that I enjoyed the most was the equipment side.
Okay.
So as we evolved as a company, I started designing and building my own slitters and rolling mills, or rebuilding the equipment and putting it into the spec that I felt would be the best quality produced product.
Okay.
So, and I enjoyed that a lot. Steel business was okay. The machinery business for me was a lot more fun and enjoyable.
Why is that? Right.
Well, the steel business is just, down and dirty business. It's not many frills. Steel is steel.
Yes.
Of course, it's evolved a lot with all the new technology and the higher strength materials and the different super alloys that they have now.
Right.
But, it wasn't a real glamorous business.
Right. Right.
But the equipment side for me was.
Right.
Because it got me thinking every day on how I could make the product better by building better equipment. So.
Now, is your parents from here as well, Michigan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, born and raised.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then you grew up here, and so you went off to college.
I went to Northern for a couple of years in the Michigan State. I had to go to Michigan State. Both my mom and my dad were from Michigan State. So I enjoyed growing up the outdoors. And I did a lot of camping. I was an Eagle Scout and a Scoutmaster, and it was just part of my life. So I gravitated towards Northern Michigan.
Yes. Yes.
Because there's so much to do up there.
Yes.
And so I had to spend at least my first couple of years at Northern, which I did, and then took the leap and moved to Michigan State.
Well, and then went back into the family business.
Yeah, like directly back. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Was that always kind of the game plan?
Well, now, somewhat. My dad had an issue with a gentleman that was running the plant.
Okay.
And so he called me, just all riled up one day and says, "You got to get over here. You got to help me," type of thing.
I love it.
You have the abilities, get over here, start to work. So I did it as fast as I could, and the rest is history. We had a nice little run.
I appreciate you giving the background, because I think as we talk about your next venture with TeamUp Academy, setting the stage for that knowledge that you built then and understanding the workforce from a hiring and a business ownership perspective to trying to prepare people for the workforce, which is what you're doing now. I think that journey, though, is just so incredibly important to understand, especially as we talk to people around the country and they have their own methods and processes doing what you're trying to achieve with the Academy. But when did you make that transition to the Academy? And what is it that TeamUp Academy does? I'm excited to have everyone learn about TeamUp Academy, by the way, because what you're doing is just absolutely brilliant. But tell us about that transition from the business to TeamUp Academy.
Well, going through the steel business, and the family sold that, I went into machinery from there, machinery sales, and did quite a bit of big three internal tear outs, they call it. So
Gotcha.
we would go in, take all the equipment out that was obsolete, give them 4 walls and a roof, and they would put new equipment in. So I did quite a bit of that, concentrating on robotics, as we did a tremendous amount of tear-outs in body shops, which were robotic welding cells for the most part.
Right.
And so I got really, really good at the robotic side of things.
Were they doing rivets? What were they doing with the robotics piece?
Spot welding.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Of all kinds, you know, and regular MIG and TIG welding too.
Okay.
So all depend on the product that they were putting out.
Right.
So, you know, there's bimetals that they use now, so various metals that they weld together and that type of thing. So it's very interesting. And
now, were you mostly still the automotive industry?
All automotive.
All automotive.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, almost. You know, being here in Detroit, you know, and focused always on automotive, because that's where I came from the steel. You gain a lot of friendships, and from those friendships, of course, come business.
Right.
And so that's why I really stayed tunnel vision in automotive.
Yeah. Well, it's such a massive, I don't know if you have the numbers on, the volume of people employed and the impact to the economy, but when you drive around this area, Detroit metro area, you see these massive factories that are all automotive related. So whether they're the assembly for the big 3 automakers or whether it's the part suppliers, but the supply chain is just huge. And to see, you know, it's fun seeing these. I started out my career in manufacturing at a copier company, and to see the thousands of employees in that facility. But you ride by those buildings and you think this is the heart of who we are as a community. Like there's great work happening in those buildings. People are working. They're providing for their families. You create this entire community around it. And then the restaurants are thriving because of the work that's being provided in that industry. But it's a really big industry here in Michigan, in this Detroit area. It's impressive.
So Detroit is all about the big 3.
Yeah.
And now it's moved on to the transplants too. So
Okay.
just about everyone is here.
Okay.
One way or another.
Okay.
Because this is where it's done.
Right.
This is where the engineers are going.
Right. Right.
And this is what everyone's been trained for.
In fact, I was looking last night at some of the numbers, and it says that Michigan ranks number 1 in the nation for the concentration of engineers. So there are a lot of engineers here in the area. 250,000 workers in the skilled trades. So Michigan's skilled trades workforce ranks in the top 10 nationally for the skilled trades, which is something that we're heavily promoting on our side from a workforce development, because I think that skilled trade area is often forgotten. But it's just amazing at the rankings and where Michigan stands in manufacturing and engineering and even defense here in the local area.
Defense is a big part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of rolling stock used by the DOD.
Okay.
And so that's why you have TACOM here.
Right.
And General Dynamics, Land Systems.
Right.
And BAE the same way.
Yeah.
4-wheel, 8-wheel vehicles, you know, of all kinds coming out of here because the engineering force is here.
Right. So why'd you create TeamUp Academy? So your family sold the business. You went and worked in your own business, and you've been a business owner for decades now, and stemming back from the family days. Why TeamUp Academy? What is it, and then why TeamUp Academy?
Well, the reason I started TeamUp, it goes back to getting my first Social Security check and really wondering what I wanted to do and what they consider your twilight years of living. And one of the things I did know is that I had to keep rolling. I had to have a mission every day.
Right.
I had to enjoy what I was doing, and I wanted to be comfortable in the spot that I was doing it in.
Right.
So, you know, I had a buddy of mine who was president of UAW Local 400, Jimmy Cagle.
Okay.
And I used to sit down now and then, and he used to tell me about all of his workforce problems.
Right.
And that his workforce was aging. And the new people, all these new employees coming in, were not prepared for the skill set that they needed.
Right.
So I got to thinking about it and said, well, you know what? I've had the same problem.
Yeah.
And what can I do about it to make good on what I want to do with my life going forward. So I came up with TeamUp Academy.
Wow.
And TeamUp Academy is a curriculum that I put together of both soft skills and hard skills of what I wanted to see from an entry-level employee coming to my building the first day.
Yes.
What skill set do they need? And what mindset do they need to be good, viable, productive employees that want to get ahead?
Right.
And that's how I came up with TeamUp's curriculum and how we started it all back around COVID time. It was a little slow. We became a 501c3 nonprofit April of 2023.
Fantastic.
Rolled out our first pilot program in March of 24.
Okay.
And now we're into it. We're on our 11th class now.
11th? Wow.
Yes. And had around 45 individuals go through our program. And our whole benchmark program is moving up not only from what we're doing as entry level, and I call it a boot camp type scenario, to now our step-up programs, which are is starting out with CNC machining, both of mill and lathe.
Okay.
And then from there, we go to welding. And after welding will be our robotics program.
Okay.
So that's kind of what we're positioned to do in the next 2 years.
So how do you find students? How do you connect with the people that need it? Are you getting referrals from your friend at UAW? Or are they just finding you on the internet? Like, how do you get matched with students so that you can give them what they need?
Well, it was slow in coming, and then the word got out. Okay, so, we're getting consistently 1 or 2 applicants a day now coming to our website. Our website is all out there now. It's very easy to use, so applying is simple. I have gotten just an incredible relationship going with the Dingle VA Hospital and their CWT program.
Okay.
And so we're getting quite a few veterans coming through the program that way. And then, we deal with church groups and, other manufacturers that are looking for individuals, but they might have gotten 10 or 12 resumes that just don't fit the bill yet. They don't have the qualifications. I get those from the manufacturers that we have partnered with, and then we give them a call and see if they're interested in doing a little jump starting. And so we have the 4-week program for our boot camp. And if they excel in the math side of it, because math is so very important, we can take them from boot camp right into our CNC programs.
So you've been doing this for a few years, and you're really deep into understanding what it is that you're doing. But if I have someone in Oregon or Washington listening in to the program, how would you describe that journey for a student? Like, what is it? So it sounds like you have class and you have math, and then you have some in the field in your facility. I've been to your facility. You have some great equipment there. It's like it's a person's dream to be able to play with some of the equipment that you have. But how does the structure look? Is it a week or 2 in classroom, every other day in the classroom, and then in your manufacturing facility so they can learn the equipment? What does that rhythm look like?
Daily in the plant. So it's very important for me to make sure that all the students they're just set up to get the job done on a daily basis. So they have a regimen. So some of it is in the classroom setting, and then some of it is in the plant. So we try to break it up and to make it easier for the day to pass by, for them to stay engaged with the programs and not get bored, and just we have come up with a great plan to keep these kids, I call them kids, our students, really focused in on day-to-day.
So, John,
for them.
So again, for those people listening that might not understand some of the terminology, when they're working on the machinery, what machinery are they looking? When I visited, it looked like they were actually producing items for real companies. It was just, there was so much material in there that they were cutting and drill. It was the neatest thing to see. But walk us through like some of the equipment they use. What do you have them doing specifically? They're not just walking in and looking at a piece of equipment, making a cut or two. They're actually working on heavy industry equipment.
Yes,
in that facility. Yes. But tell us about
some of the boot camp, we start out with the fundamentals.
Okay.
And the fundamentals are pretty much forklift operation and forklift certification.
Nice.
Understanding what it takes to be a safe employee in a manufacturing plant.
Right.
We teach everyone you have to have eyes in the back of your head. You have to understand what's going on around you at all times, which is very important because safety is everything. We don't want them getting hurt, or we don't want them hurting someone else.
Right.
So we impress very, very much so on that, and then understanding all the tools that are used in a manufacturing plant.
Yeah.
How are they used? We get into measuring devices.
Right.
Everything from tape measures to vernier calipers to micrometers, and the math that goes along with it.
Right.
So decimals and fractions.
Nice.
That's very important. You have to know that.
Right.
Have to know that. Another huge thing, which they don't get a lot of in schools, is metric conversion.
Okay.
Because metric, everyone is using now.
International.
Or it used to be different when I was growing up.
That's true.
It's all international metric math.
And you have them cutting to specific tolerances as well.
Yeah,
presumably.
to those specific tolerances. But that comes in after the 30-day boot camp.
Okay.
We go to the step-up program, and then we start them out on the legacy machines, we call them. That's all the manual machines.
Okay.
So the manual mills and lathes, and understanding exactly how they operate,
right,
what speeds and feeds are, how much material can you take off at a time to make that part, all the nuts and bolts that you need to get into CNC machining.
Right.
Because the last thing that your employer wants is you to come in and crash their machine. You know what I'm saying? And that's easy to do with a CNC machine if you don't watch what you're doing, or your programs are wrong, or something along that line has gone afoul because you don't understand.
Right.
So,
and I appreciate the legacy machines because when I saw your equipment in there, I think so many of the new manufacturers, and I don't know if this is the case here in Michigan, but in some of the ones I visited, they seem simple. You push a button and it does all the work for you. But you teaching them how it works, like how it truly should work on a manual machine. I think people should still learn how to drive a manual stick shift car, just to understand how it should work versus the auto. You push your button these days. You start the car with the button, and then you push another button to put it in park. Like, no, I want my daughter to learn how to drive a vehicle. But it sounds like you're teaching them the mechanics of how the machine should work. And the reason that's important, at least from my opinion, is if something breaks on the machine and that little button doesn't work, you've got to get in there and figure out how to keep the business going. How do you manage? I presume a lot of those machines, they have a manual feature to it. You just need to understand how to manage that, and like the new technology machines. But you're teaching them really the nuts and bolts of those machines.
Well, it's very important because a lot of our employers still have those machines.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah.
So I get employers coming in all the time, and that's the first thing they ask me is, are you training them on legacy machines, on manual machines?
Fantastic.
Because I get this bridge port in the corner.
Right.
Sometimes somebody, he's got to go use it, he or she. Or I've got this lathe here, this engine lathe, this big thing, and we need something turned.
Right.
You have to understand
Agreed.
what it takes to work those machines first.
Yeah.
And they're a lot more resilient than the new CNCs.
Right.
So if we crash something on a manual machine, you're not out thousands of dollars. It's and those things happen because you're learning. Right. So our individuals really are focused in at least for a solid 4 weeks on making a part on the manual machines.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what is your entire infrastructure looks like, or your supply chain. So you have students coming in. You already have jobs that you're working with partners, I presume, to help make available for those students once they graduate. What does that look like on the placement side and getting them ready for the workforce?
Well, usually what I do is we do have employers to call in.
Okay.
So we put the individuals through the program, particularly starting with the boot camp. Some will not be able to get into our CNC machining program.
Sure.
So I'll have employers come in after the first 3 weeks and take a look at resumes and do some interviewing.
Okay.
And then for the CNC, this is our first class. So coming up in 3 weeks, we'll be doing the same thing. But I've got some employers that had brought it to my attention the other day, and this is our program's ever evolving, that they'd like to see these students come in as interns for a week or two, for a couple hours a day. That way they're shadowing someone in the plant, and the employer gets a good feel for what this new employee has and doesn't have. So understanding what they're going to need to do to train them up farther for their business. And we're also looking at various types of curriculum changes too per employer. So one of the bases for our program is the SME Tooling U program. So there's thousands of modules to pick from, and we can train on very specific modules if that employer needs that specific training.
Interesting.
So we can customize it a little bit. I mean, we can't get out of control because we're pretty tunnel vision on what we're doing now. But, a few modules here and there that might help the individual going to that particular employer's plant will help them do a little bit better job quicker on site.
And when I read the profile of TeamUp Academy, you talk a lot about collaboration between you and the different partners. So it sounds like that's an integral part of you creating this entire system, this ecosystem for the different employees in the area. And so it sounds like you're having a huge impact in those partnerships, right?
Oh, and it's working real well. Absolutely. And then we, of course, we have collaboration on the educational side too. So
tell us more about that.
So we got involved with Ramon Serrato and their WTA program that Greg Taylor runs. And we're now, this new program that we have for CNC machining, both mill and lathe, came out of our discussions with Serrato Corporation.
That's fantastic.
And their program to put warriors to work is what it's called, transitioning vets from all over the country into our programs here in Detroit, and then get them jobs in Michigan in aerospace and defense. So that's going to be our real focus and what we're rolling out right now.
Well, I'm looking forward to speaking to them about the Warriors to Work program, because I think it's an innovative idea, and part of the conversation, and I think you've had this conversation with them, is we have service members from around the country being deployed around the country as they serve their time in the military. And their last duty station might differ from where they want to be. But how do you take these super bright young people, oftentimes when they leave the service, and give them that ability to transition into the private sector? So you're working with that program, it sounds like, and you're helping to give them that training and experience that they need to build a career post-military.
Absolutely. We are tunnel vision on this program.
I love it.
Because it's great for the individuals. Because, there's, as Ramon says, there's 18,000 transitioning vets out of San Diego alone a year. Well, I know the vets can't live in San Diego. We all know that. California, I mean, it's very expensive. So bringing them through the GI Bill to Michigan, training them here where the costs are so much lower to live, but the jobs are much better. So you got a pick of aerospace and defense. Aerospace and defense probably being one of the biggest, at least in Macomb County alone here in Detroit. I mean, it's bigger than any place in the whole country for aerospace and defense. And then you've got automotive. So you have a pick of all kinds of different hands-on industries.
Yes. And what a great fit, like for that population of people that want to do something like you mentioned with their hands. And that's incredible.
Yeah, and it's all here.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And again, what we're trying to do, Ramon and I, are giving them a wide breadth of different types and styles of jobs.
Right.
So we're looking into airframe and power plant down at Detroit City Airport.
Fantastic.
Again, we're looking at different programs that we can train at TeamUp for, like I said, welding and robotics, that type of thing, that are very important to what goes on in Detroit.
Right.
Because it's all about automation now.
Yes.
And what do they need in automation? They need technicians, good with their hands, understand the systems. Right. And that's what we're trying to train.
And on the other side of that, which is what I talk about all the time, I've been recruiting veterans for many years. They are, in the service, they had to be reliable. They had to show up on time and ready to work. And so you get all of those skills that they bring with them from the time in the service. When they come to your job site and your facility, they dependable, right?
Oh, yeah. The sense of responsibility is tremendous.
Yes.
And that's what it is. It's all about being dependable. So, if all the employer's looking for, if you were trainable, is if you can make it there every day, they'll love you, take you by the shoulders, you can grab you and train you up to whatever the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
If you have the potential, you'll get there quickly.
Right. Now, if there are two things I think anyone listening to the program should definitely take away, the TeamUp Academy and what you're doing to get people skilled and ready, and then that veteran transition piece, because there's a viable workforce that I wish more companies would really look at and see it as a viable workforce, and helping to take those service members and give them these opportunities that are available. We need workers in industry, and there is a workforce. To me, it seems like a great marriage, right?
Oh, it's a fantastic marriage. And, what Ramon's trying to do is get these transitioning vets started early.
Yes.
So they're thinking about what they really want to do when they leave the military. And if we can do that, a year or 18 months ahead of time, get them prepared, have them understand where they're going and what they're going to be doing, they'll be miles ahead.
Yeah, amazing.
Miles ahead.
Amazing. So what's your vision next? What's like the next phase of your evolution in here in Michigan and what you're looking to accomplish? What's next for you? Do you have any certain targets that you're trying to reach, and what's the next part of the process for you?
So TeamUp has their facility in Macomb County.
Okay.
We have a capacity of between 25 and 40 students a month.
A month.
A month. So I'm going to transition now into Oakland County.
Okay.
I was talking with the Michigan Works Veteran Affairs gentleman that's involved with Oakland County. Just last week we had lunch together. And they're all prepared for it because they just don't have a team up in Oakland County and they want one.
Nice.
So from there we go to Wayne County.
Okay.
So in the next 5 years, I'd like to see 3 training centers up to capacity covering southeastern Michigan.
Right.
And as we evolve, I believe that we can take it to that Grand Rapids we've been looking at, somewhere in the Toledo area, and then we scale it accordingly as we grow and we can afford to do so, and we know that our program is working for our employers.
Nice. Nice. Now, what I admire about what you're doing as we end our program is, one, you're creating a legacy, your legacy, through impacting the community in a way that is extremely valuable, right? I admire anyone that's willing to take their success and then translate it into helping people, whether it's their knowledge, their financial resources, their connections. And you've done all of that. You've taken all of your resources and you're applying it now to helping other people build their success. So you're creating this huge legacy in the entire community here in Michigan, which is just impressive.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, John, keep up the great work. I hope everyone has an opportunity to go find TeamUp Academy, not only from their own educational perspective, but also the other workforce-related organizations around the country. Hopefully, they'll look at it as a model and find a way that they can make a similar contribution to their communities, whether it's in Oregon or Washington State or Illinois or down in Texas or Virginia. But they'll look at you as a model for how they can build a great program to get people skilled and trained and ready to go to work.
And one real important thing is, I'm always game to collaborate with others. So if there's a facility out there in this country that is looking for the type of program that TeamUp is doing now, we'd love to get together with them.
And that manufacturing piece, I don't think you can really completely get rid of it. Like, we need some manufacturing here in the U.S. and across the country. And so as companies look to enhance or improve or build on their manufacturing, I hope they reach out to you and start to build that relationship and partnership.
Well, everyone needs widgets.
Yes.
And you got to make them somehow.
You have to make them somehow and somewhere.
That's right, exactly.
John, I appreciate you joining. So, John with TeamUp Academy, if you have a chance, check them out. John, where can someone find you?
TeamUpAcademy.org.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah, appreciate it, John. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks for joining us on the I Build America podcast.
Thank you for listening to the I Build America podcast. Please subscribe, share, and comment, and be sure to join us next time for more insights and inspiring conversations on building a powerful American workforce. I Build America, building workforce success one podcast at a time.
I build America.